of us know and really enjoy listening to. Welcome.
Whee! Well, thank you. Did you get it turned off? You can take it with you. I don't need it. It's a good idea. Good morning, everybody. And how's everybody this wonderful morning? Woo! Great. Well, I want to do a little advertisement before I get started. Yeah, well, I'm going to do it anyhow. Yeah, but, you had to say what you had to say, Gail, as usual. Anyhow, I have this program that I do, and I'm going to be doing it over Zoom this fall. And the title of it's called Self-Sabotage. I Was a Prisoner of My Own Mind. And it's going to be a 10-week program. There'll be a free session for anybody that's interested. And I'll be sending Reverend Joanne the information, and she can send it out to the email list. And it'll let everybody know what's happening. The course is 10 weeks, $200 on Zoom. And what it's about was the basic is how Spirit instructed me to recreate a whole new person that I had to do in order to be free from my other life that could totally function in today's world and in the world as a different kind of a person than I was before. And it took 11 years from 1980 to 1991. So 35 years ago and a month ago, I was started here. Doesn't seem like 35 years ago and a month, but it was. And of course, it was 3 years after I was here that I finally looked at this piece of paper I carried in my wallet for 11 years. And on it were a series of little different things that the Spirit had given me to utilize to transform and change my life from the way it was to the way it was when I did it and the way it continues to unfold in a really good way. And so, and that's my unique story that it was that goes along with it. So if anybody's interested in that, you can check with me later. I'll give you more information, or get your email to me once you get the information from Joanne, and then you can see if that interests you. It's not one of those, I think I'll take a course and do a few points. It's an in-your-face working program, okay? Ask Beth. And it's a good one, too. It works really well. I've had tremendous success. Everybody that completes it is 110% happy with their results. Notice I didn't say while they were doing it, because you won't be happy with it while you're doing it, but you will at the end of the day. So again, that's why I called it I Was a Prisoner of My Own Mind, because that's what we are, right? We're prisoners of our own mind. It's the negative self-doubts and the thinking that we've had that create the sphere from which we operate in. And it's about tearing down those walls and getting back to, hey, you ever seen a baby that was mean, ugly, vulgar, terrible, had all kinds of problems? No, they're not. So what happened? And how do we get back to be that same place in consciousness? So that's my take on it. Okay, well, before I introduce the topic of that, let's just start with a little bit of centering and go within to that secret place of the Most High. And in the calm, peace, stillness, and silence, let us know all is God, all is good, and all is an experience. For the soul is here and experiences everything that we do as a learning experience. The good, bad, and the ugly only comes from the evaluation of that experience at the human level. So when we can go beyond that labeling of the conditions and circumstances and events that happen to us and look at them from the point of view of an unfoldment of consciousness, whether it be us individually, a group collectively, or our society on this planet as a whole. It's an involvement of consciousness. And if we don't like what we see, we have the power within ourselves to change ourselves and have a different experience of what's out there and create a new and different experience of circumstances and events. And that is within our realm. So let's just take a few moments and let's reflect on one or two items that are in our experience in the form of condition or circumstance that we're willing to look at and see a different way and know that it is only temporary and it's a stepping stone to a greater experience of what this thing is called my life. So as we have the courage to step outside a circumstance and see things different, let us know, as I know for myself, I know for each one here, and as I declare it for me, and I declare it for you, that I am worthy of the very best in life, and I lovingly accept this now, and await the good that comes to me, and the good that I can share, I share willingly and freely. So go forward. We know that this is now a reality. We give thanks and we let it be so. And so it is. Well, it was really interesting with the talk. You know, I like the theme for the month, speaking truth to circumstance and situation that we have. What's the truth of it? And the affirmation is, I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. And the title that was given, I didn't particularly care to get into that aspect because it was a lot of based on Shiva and Hinduism and stuff like that, and that's not one of my fortes. So I thought, well, what would fit in here? Well, I was right in the middle of a 9-day Rocky Mountain experience taken my friend Reverend Mike Gertis and Dr. Maxine Kay from the Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living on a tour. And it just so happens that the thing that struck me was awe and wonder. Now, a little bit of background. Anybody ever been to Yoho National Park? It was the second national park established in Canada right after Banff. Okay, and it's about 1,300 square miles. And the word Yoho comes from a Cree expression meaning awe and wonder. And I've trekked all around Yoho National Park, right from the east end right to the west end of the park on the vicinity of the Trans-Canada Highway and everything that it has to offer. And I still go there, only I can't quite do all of the other stuff that I used to do, so I find new things to do. Because that's what I do. You know, as I get older, I'm paring down. So a lot of my hiking and that is, between 6 and 12 kilometers now. I don't do the other ones. And I'm working at doing the trails around Banff and Canmore and getting used to those. So I got somewhere to go when I get old. You got to look at it like that. But awe and wonder. Now, if you ever been to Yoho, if you ain't going, oh, and you're wondering, you're in wonder, then you need help. Seriously. Serious. I'm serious. It is the most fantastic place. It's got the most beautiful place in the world I've ever been to, and it's called Lake O'Hara and the area there, and it's really, really hard to get in. There's 3 different kinds of lotteries, and I haven't been successful for 4 years, but I'm working on them to see about next year. And it's great. And then one of the places in there that's phenomenal that you owe yourself the opportunity to go see is right when you go down into the hill and field. There's a little campground, and you go through the road there, and it's called Takaka Falls. Have you ever seen the sign? How many have been there? Well, you owe it to yourself. You could drive there, and it's a short little walk. It's not a big deal, all nice walkway. And Takaka means in Cree, magnificent or wonderful. And it is the second highest waterfall In Canada, it's got a drop of 373 meters and the main drop of 254, and you're sitting there looking at it, and you're in awe and wonder. And if you're not, you need to pinch yourself. Okay? I had the opportunity of going across the valley and climbing up to the ice line, and it's a great hike, and there's a little peak up there that you could climb up. A lot of people don't. And you could look right across the valley to this great big waterfall and see the glacier that forms the lake and the stream that runs out of the lake that makes the falls. It is awesome. Okay? And you know, this awe and wonder is around us everywhere in our life. But the key is, do we see it? And the answer is yes and no. Notice that the no was more emphasized than the yes, because it's there all the time. And so in order to start honing your mind to be able to experience more awe and wonder with the life that we have and the demonstrations that come, then I got this thing I suggest that we ask ourselves and answer these 3 questions honestly to get started. Okay? And this is what we'll work with as the answer to these questions. And to remember before I tell you what the questions are, what Ernest Holmes says in The Science of Mind. He says, a practitioner of this science should not be confused over any given form, but should know that any form which is not of original harmony is subject to change. So any form is subject to change, and we have the ability to do it. Question number 1. Are you ready? Okay. Not an easy question. What do I see or say when I look at myself in the mirror? Did you get up this morning and look in the mirror and just get pumped up, and the first thing you see when you say yourself, "Good morning, God"? Or did you get up and look at the mirror and go, "Good God, morning"? Okay, that's a question. And it's really important. You know, you don't have to tell me the answer to these questions, because I can tell you what the answers are. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you got a lot of really nice things that you can say about yourself and do that. But then there's those other things that we say, and we really don't tell anybody about it because we don't want people to know that we think that way of ourselves. And you know, you don't have to tell me that you do it or you don't do it, because I know you do, because we all do, right? If we didn't, we wouldn't have any problem bringing anything we wanted into our form in life just like that. What do you say or see when I look at others? What do I say or see when I look at others? And it could be all kinds of nice things or not so nice. Okay? How do we see, or what do we say about other people? And then the last question is, what do I see or what do I say when I look at conditions? Okay? One of the things I never really talk about a whole lot, very little at all, never publicly, is politics. Okay? But I listen carefully to a lot of things people say, and what they see or say, holy, you know, it's really interesting because everybody sees something different, and a lot of times they all say the same thing. So, but keep in mind, it doesn't really matter what anybody says or thinks about you. Not at all. Did you ever get brought up by, "Oh, don't do that. What will other people think? What will the neighbors think?" Anybody ever heard that one before? Yeah, who cares? I had to get by that really early in life because of the things that I did. Because you see, it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you, or it doesn't really matter what they say about you, or how they see you. It don't matter one bit. Why? Because they're not in your head doing your thinking. At least I don't think they are. Unless you invite what they're saying and thinking about you in, then they're in your head thinking. Don't rent space to people in your head. Well, what if they think I'm nice? That's nice that they think you're nice. That's good. But you know, it doesn't really matter how many people think how nice you are unless you think you're nice yourself. Case closed. It's over. It's that simple. And then when you begin to like yourself more, then other people will too. And that doesn't matter one bit. It's only them liking you more because you like yourself more. I remembered when I first got into this and I was doing speaking. And you always wonder, well, how good am I doing? I wonder what people think. So I used to wait at the end of the talk to see how many people would come up and approve of what I said and tell me that, yeah? And I thought there'd be a lot more than there was. There wasn't, eh? And then I was taking this class with my teacher, Dr. Arlene, in the summer, I remember it. And it got down to the point in this class, right in the middle of it, where basically that idea come up, and the only reason that more people don't approve of me is because I don't approve of myself. Holy crap, Batman, that was it. I broke down, and I spent a 2 or 3 day crying jag, and my guts rolled, and I was sicker than a dog because it was true. I didn't approve of myself. And I made a commitment after that to approve of myself when I was speaking and teaching. No matter what anybody else said or did, I'm going to approve of myself. And what I did from that is whatever I did do got better. And I remember after that doing a talk one time, and there was a throng of people coming, and holy crap, I never had that many before. 3 or 4 times as many coming up saying how they like the talk and stuff like that. And you know what? The truth of the matter, it was really nice to hear that. But it didn't matter one bit how many people there were. Because the reason that was happening, because I was starting to approve of myself. Don't look for other things for approval. You'll get it automatically as soon as you approve of yourself. So, very important. Work with those 3 questions, if you dare. Give up fighting with conditions. Ooh. And that you could do. I don't know if you've ever had to work with a lawyer or a government agency. I'm sure you've had to. But you know, their time frame isn't our time frame. It's whenever they get around it. Is that true? Most of the time it's like that. So what one has to realize that if we go into that with the intention of conflict at a different level, that's all it's ever going to be. All it's ever going to be is conflict, and all we're ever going to be doing is fighting with the conditions. Always know that, hey, everything's going to pass. Nothing is permanent there. It's only temporary. Have you ever had issues and they're resolved, right? The older you are, the more you've had, the more they're resolved. Just like worrying about money. Anybody ever worry about money and not making ends meet and stuff like that? Yeah. And have you did it 10 years ago, 20 years ago? How about 50? Some of you I know can't answer that. But some of us can. And you know, the question I always ask people when they're going through a struggle and it works out, I said, hey, if you knew it was going to work out, would you have gone through all of that? And they said, absolutely not. You have to be crazy. So I'll remind you, you said that next time you complain. Okay? And we need to do that because it doesn't matter whether we fight it or not. If we work at it spiritually, it'll pass. We'll find the correct way to deal with it with a little bit more ease. I didn't say joy because, like divorce isn't joy usually. But you can work at it with ease and make your way through it. I'm not suggesting you go out and practice. I've had way too much practice, but that's the truth, yeah. But it brings to thought of when we're looking at these situations, there was something I come across that is really a powerful, especially the last two lines. And it's a poem that was written by this guy called Henley. It's called Invictus. And Invictus means unconquered and undefeated. And he had lost his leg at a young age to tuberculosis, and they wanted to take the other one, and he said no. So he found another doctor, and he went through a series of painful, agonizing operations and surgery, but ultimately saved his leg. And as he was coming through and working with all of that in the darkness, he wrote this. He said, "Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced or cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate, and I am the captain of my soul." I always remember that, because nobody, folks, can take that away from you. Nobody. Oh, you could give it to them to take away, but ultimately, no matter how much you give of yourself away like that, it still is there for you to reclaim and take back. Because I am the master of my fate, and I am the captain of my soul. And I had to believe that to guide myself through my experience. Really powerful. I just absolutely love that one. Another idea here is always seek the gift in any situation or circumstance. Take the higher road. Always take the higher road. No matter what. You know, I remember in 1996, after I moved back to Calgary, studied another work, and I burned out. And there I am, an astute minister of prosperity and all of this good stuff, and a professional accountant, and I find myself, in the first time in my life, bankrupt, lost everything, suffering from panic and anxiety attacks, and couldn't do a darn thing. Absolutely nothing. And how could that happen to me? With all I knew. Wrong question to ask. Never ask how it happened to you. You don't need to know that. How am I going to work my way through this? What is it I need to do? And then through all of that, how it happened to you and why will be revealed later. You don't need to ask that question. And that's probably one of the most important things. I just had a conversation yesterday, with my brother Bob. And he fell and broke his pelvis in the fall of 19. It was almost a year in the hospital. In the last 3 years, he's been in a care facility. He hasn't stood in 4 years. And, you know, that could be a really demoralizing thing for someone. And my brother Bob was always a lone wolf. He always lived alone, bachelor, never, you know, he interacted with people when he wanted to, blah, blah, all of that, right? And he's a good guy, and of course, one of the things that helped is during the time in the hospital and that, there were restricted visitation, so he had to put up with me and Anna. And you're not going to get a whole lot of negativity out of us, because that's not what we're doing. We're looking for a solution. We're looking at moving forward and helping him heal. And my cousin is 2 blocks away from him, and him and Bob were always close. So, you know, we're there, and I was saying to Bob, you know, I said, man, he said to me, you know, you guys were gone for a week, and I missed you, and I missed Butch. He said, I've never missed anybody before. I said, isn't it wonderful? Just look at the life you've got. I remember he went into the hospital 2 weeks before. This guy said, oh, you got to try texting, Bob. I won't tell you what Bob said to him. Oh, Bob knows more about technology now than I do. Okay? So he's taken his world of limitation and restriction and created a whole new world. I ended up with his benefit plan after chewing on the leg, getting him a $35,000 motorized wheelchair for $50. Not bad. He liked that. That's why they call me the big dog, eh? But he got that, and then we just bought him a van with a lift, and now he's going out, and he come to our party on July 1st. He just loves it. He's having a ball. In fact, him and Butch just bought these little race cars, $200 a piece, and they're out in the parking lot racing these cars because he always wanted to do it when he was a kid, but never did. Okay? So you would look at his situation and the circumstance he's in, and he has to be hoisted into his chair, blah, blah, all of this. And you can say, oh, poor Bob. Da, da. No, not at all. Look at the circumstance and situation and the life he's creating for himself out of that. And we don't say, poor Bob. We say, hooray for Bob. Holy man, he's just having a ball. And how long will it last? Well, who knows? It doesn't matter. It's conditions. Everything in form is temporary. Even you, your body. Soul goes on, but its body's temporary. So I always seek the gift. In my situation, I found the gift in the circumstances and situations. And Bob and I are the oldest of 6. I'm the oldest, Bob's next. And the other 4 younger ones are all pillars of the community, but they went south when they turned 40 and they're all dead. Tragically. Tomorrow is, or 2 days ago, Ann and I had our 19th wedding anniversary, and tomorrow is the 19th anniversary of my sister's death, and to the day my 17th of my brother's death, and the 16th of my father a few days later. Black Day in July. Everybody ever heard that song? Yeah. Well, that was it. But out of the goodness of all of that, in this situation, created an opportunity for Bob and I to get close and really work out a lot of the family issues that were going on and understanding. And it's been a real revelation, eh? So never get wrapped up in circumstances and situations as the way they are. How can we move forward with it? That's all. And you can't measure moving forward by speed. Anybody ever watch a turtle? The turtles don't go backwards. They're always moving forward. But he's still moving forward. That's the key. Always remember that. Don't matter how fast or how much progress you make, long as you're moving forward, you're going in the right direction. There was a guy that wrote something that is very powerful for me, and a very powerful quote. It's James Allen, and as a man thinketh, and how is as a woman thinketh. They got them both. But he said, mind is a master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, shaping what he wills. He brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. The environment is but his looking glass. And remember, how do you see things? Do you look at things as evil? Or if you take the word live and spell them backwards, that's evil. How about that? So living life backwards is the key thing that we would call evil. And if someone is living backwards, then he's using the creative life force to create harm and devastation instead of creating a greater expression of love, life, and joy. It's just using life backwards, that's all. If you live backwards, it's evil. It's not a thing of itself. And you can use the power of mind in a negative way and I was very, very successful in using it in a bad way. I went 17 years and only spent 2 nights in the jail. I was stopped, ticketed, and arrested between 500 and 600 times, but I only did 2 days in jail. I didn't say that was the only time I was in jail. I was in jail a lot, but just for half a day here and there, Okay? So I used the skills that I had to avoid those situations. Bob and I talk about it all the time. I was a master at it. Now I use them differently. I use them to help people unravel the mysteries of what's going on with them and to give them an opportunity of moving forward. So always remember, as Ernest Holmes said, that spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form it had taken. So it's always moving like this. It's always going like this. What this was no longer goes because this is taking a new form. And it will continue to do that. I know we're talking about not getting old here with Joanne, about being 29, but I don't do that. I'm happy to be old. And I'm looking at getting a whole lot older. People say, oh, that's so terrible. I don't want to be old. Well, I do, because nobody gave me a chance in snowball's chance in hell of ever making it past 30. So every time I notch one in my belt, I'm significantly happy, because that means I'm here having more of a chance to be happier. And each of us deserves that. But the last thing one must know is the major quality. It's called patience, patience, and patience. And when you run out, patience. Because we want it all now. But with the universe, you're on a as need to know basis. So you don't get any guarantees. You don't have it in the bank. You have it in consciousness. And when will it come? When it does. Will it come? Yes. But it won't come on our time. It'll come on the time of spirit. And all we can do is facilitate making the channel a little bit more clear so it can arrive in what we call a little quicker time. But it will come as it needs to. So I know for you, as I know for myself, that divine right action takes place in our life, and there's a gradual, orderly, sequential unfoldment into form of the highest and best that I am, that you are, and that we are, and so it is. Whee! Thank you.